Hello, guys. Welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. It's a busy weekend in boxing, which means it's a busy week for us on previews. As usual, I've got Ray with me. Ray, you all right?
I'm sound, mate. How are you?
I'd be better if the boxing was a bit better this weekend. Obviously, for those that haven't seen our Daniel Dubois preview, it wasn't very complimentary. And I'm afraid this one, we're going to be looking at Munguia versus James Kelly, and it's not going to get much better. I mean, firstly, before I get into it, Ray, break the fight down for us. We know Munguia is talented. How's it going to play out?
I was surprised when this fight got announced. Jimmy Kelly got a great win last time out against a Kazakh. He was 37. I think the kid was unbeaten as well. He was a good puncher. Come with a great reputation. And Jimmy Kelly boxed really, really well over there. And I wouldn't say he put on a clinic, but he boxed out his skin, and he's got this opportunity. Jimmy, I last saw him against Liam Smith back in 2015, and he flattered to deceive then. That was down at light middleweight, super welterweight, and he got bullied by Liam Smith. Now, Liam Smith and Jaime Munguia fought before, and Jaime Munguia got the better of Liam Smith. They're both very similar fighters on the inside. So effectively, I can't really see, although it's at a higher weight, I can't see Jimmy Kelly have proved that much to be any better against Jaime Munguia than he was against Liam Smith. What I'm trying to say is, when you look at his opponents and his record since he fought Liam Smith, although he's had some wins, and he had a loss against Dennis Hogan, who Jaime Munguia has already beaten. The caliber of his opponents have been very poor, and a lot of them have got losing records. And his style, even though he's got a nice boxing style, he's got no physical strength whatsoever. And I think he's quite poor on the inside. So I think once Jaime Munguia realises that and gets inside, I expect Jaime Munguia to dispatch of him within 4 or 5 rounds. I don't think he's going to cope with any exchanges. I think he'll go back in straight lines. I think Jaime Munguia will cut the ring off and get him out there pretty sharp.
No, I mean, I agree totally. I mean, I said to you, I love the way you break down a fight, so that's why I've given it to you, but I totally agree with you, mate. I mean, the question for me is now, Jaime Munguia, he's 25 years old, former super welterweight, light middleweight world champion, and he moved up to middleweight there was a lot of noise around it, wasn't there? It was like this guy could become the future of the middleweight division. When he moved up, it was obviously you had Golovkin sort of not in his prime, but certainly far closer to his prime than he is now.
Yeah.
He's a master record of 39-0 with 31 stoppage wins. When are Golden Boy going to stop holding him back? Because as you say, I was surprised when this fight was announced. I thought when he fought Demetrius Ballard back in February, I thought that would be his last one. Right, you're 25. Now we roll the dice. Promoters talk about that, don't they? Like this is the one. And then they announced this. I mean, the only defense that I've sort of got for the fight is that he's been pretty active, hasn't he? He beat Gabe Rosado last November, I believe. Fought in February against Ballard, and now he's back out in June. So he's active, which is good. And that's a theme that fortunately we're starting to be able to stop talking about. Through the pandemic, we have been talking a lot about inactivity. But why are Golden Boy holding him back so much?
I don't know. I don't know when Oscar De La Hoya's. He kind of did the same with Canelo at one point, but I believe he probably took more risks with Canelo. When you look back at Canelo's resume, he took probably more risks than Canelo, and I still felt then he was holding Canelo back. But Canelo's far more talented than what Munguia is. I think Munguia is one-dimensional, and I think with Munguia, there's an element of and I see a parallel in his career progression, the same with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. What I mean by that is he's got that come-forward style. He's got the Mexican fan base. He's aggressive. He throws a lot of punches, almost like a swarm infighter. But he lacks that finesse. He lacks that plan B, plan C. He doesn't have that ring IQ. He can easily be outboxed. So I think with Munguia, it's a case of let's just build this hype train before he gets absolutely outboxed in the ring. It made it look silly, and people, of course, start calling him a hype job. So I think if you look at people like Demetrius Andrade, Lara, you won't see him fighting that particular style for a long, long time. So the likes of, your come forward fighters, will suit him right to the ground. And I think they'll try and fight as many of those as possible, get himself into a position where, unfortunately, he'll be mandated and you'll have no choice but to fight somebody like that. I think that's the way they're going to go with Golden Boy. Build them up, build that Mexican fan base up, build a lot of noise up, and make him become sort of like a cash cow before they have to cash in on him.
But there's a danger here. I mean, obviously, fans are, particularly more hardcore fans. Well, I think the reality is more hardcore fans are calling him out now.
Yeah.
Casual fans in reality don't know who he is because fighting the likes of, no disrespect to Jimmy Kelly, he's a, he's an able fighter, but he's not of the level Munguia should be fighting at. So the danger is that there's never the cash cow to really cash in on, if that makes sense, because hardcore fans stop caring. Casual fans don't know who he's in the first place. And the other danger for me is the fact that with Munguia now, it's, Gabe Rosado, I'm a fan of his, but, he's very much a gatekeeper of the division, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's then fought Ballard and now Kelly. How can he stay motivated? He's got to be sat there thinking, I'm a former world champion. I'm 25 now. So, we talk about like man strength. That's there for him now. It's going to be.
Yeah, that's all in hand. Yeah.
That's what I mean. This has got to be the time where, in that middleweight division, there's potentially some scalps. I know Golovkin's spoken for, but, even if he'd have got in, I know it wouldn't have been right now because Murata's recently fought, but even with the likes of Murata or, a former world champion or, could a Chris Eubank Jr., a Liam Williams fight, someone just a bit more, because I can deal with a slow build. Like, I'm not anti what like the likes of Conor Benn's doing. But there's got to be a build. Like, I don't mind small steps, but there's just no progression for me. And that's the worry. I mean, is Munguia going to be motivated? Because someone as able as Jimmy Kelly, in fairness, not a banana skin, but could cause him problems. And, if he's fighting these sorts of fights, he's got to look good doing it, hasn't he?
This is Jimmy's world title fight, Josh. This is a massive opportunity for Jimmy. He's already had one. And you saw what he done with a Kazakh. So this is a great opportunity for him. And I think, there's every chance that Murata Munguia can start slipping up in these fights because he can start overlooking these people. So they really, at some point, they're going to have to test him, and they're going to have to test him against a style that isn't just going to come forward or isn't just going to be slow-footed, and be hit. In my opinion, he should be up against the likes of Lara, Chris Eubank, and Andre or Ayana Beck. And Murata would be a good shout. He's coming off the Golovkin loss, but Murata's been at the top level for quite a while. Yeah, he's 36, but he can still pose more questions than what Jimmy Kelly can. I think Jimmy Kelly's... you're right. I think that's the best way to look at it. Is that more of a progression in his last fight? No. Is it more of a progression in Rosado? No. Is it a step down from Rosado? Yes. So 2 fights later, why is he fighting a step down from Rosado? Unless they've offered a fight that people have pulled out, but I can't think of a good reason.
The thing is, in fairness as well, I mean, I did a little bit of research, obviously, into this, because that can happen, but there's no talk of it. And what it's like now with the internet, with social media, someone talks about something, and with how rapid fire he's been out, 3 months, 4 months between, he's not having much rest. It's just into the next camp and into the next fight. So I just think it's a case of Golden Boy just holding back. I mean, my worry is he's 39-0 now. Are we going to end up with like Jaime Munguia surpassing the Floyd Mayweather 50-0? And when you look at the resume, he's fought nobody, and other than what he did at 154. Certainly since he moved up to middleweight, there's just no names on there. That's the danger for me. And if that happens, then whatever he did, because he's got years ahead of him at 25, whatever he went on to do, for me, he just becomes a laughingstock. If you were to get near that,
and that's what I mean by comparing him to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Just becomes a long, elaborated record for the purpose of just building that record to try and to get him some attention. And they do that with fighters that aren't so gifted, but they think they can get commercial value from them. And I think that's what they're doing with Jaime Munguia.
I think they've done it now. I think you've milked it as far as you can milk it before you've got to roll the dice. I mean, we'll wrap it up there. Guys, let us know in the comment section, what do you think about this fight? If you think we're wrong, tell us why. See you on the next one.